Hey, I'm Scott at ediblemusic.com. If you're feeling burnt out on mixing and you've got a lot of frustration and overwhelm about all the things you feel like you need to learn, it's because you're at a very specific stage in your learning progress. I've been a teacher for a long time, and when I was teaching in classrooms, I also trained in effective teaching strategies, and that there are different points along our learning journey that we approach things differently than in the stage that we had before. This is especially true if you are performing some competency based learning or skills based learning like you're doing right now, learning how to make music at home. You might be familiar with the terms beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert, but the stages of learning are a much more applicable way to think about it because it also details how we approach things and how we think about the learning that we're doing. Let me show you what I mean. There are 4 stages, and I want you to let me know which one you seem to fall on that sounds most familiar to you. Are you 1, 2, 3, or 4? The first one is unconscious incompetence. And in this stage, you might feel confused about things like microphone positioning, sound selection, using EQ or compression, and how relevant they are to your music making. You just want to have fun and make awesome songs. The technical aspects are more of an annoyance to you, and they almost will feel like an impedance to the music that you want to make. But as you keep going, you move into the next stage, which is called conscious incompetence. In this stage, you're aware of the distance between the music you want to make and the abilities that you have so far. And you're motivated to learn those abilities and to develop them because you're starting to see the pathways towards applying certain techniques and tools in your workstation in order to achieve the goals that you want. There can also be some frustration along with this motivation because you can have a sense of how you want your songs to sound, but you can't quite seem to get there. So my role at this stage would be to give you some really specific help and model some examples as I do here in order to help you get along to the next stage, which is called conscious competence. And in this stage, you're able to do a task without direct support, but it feels hard and takes a lot of focus and energy and trial and error. You will know what an EQ and a compressor do, but you'll have difficulty finding the right frequencies or adjusting the compressor to the right settings. This is a key stage because it can give you the confidence from what you've learned so far to be able to do all the things that you want to be able to do, but you don't quite have the exact sort of expertise. And so you might find yourself thinking, well, I know enough that I need to know. I don't need to learn anymore. But you're at a really crucial stage where you've developed enough to have some confidence in your abilities, but you have to keep on pushing and maintain some curiosity about what you're learning and some excitement about advancing those skills even further. When I teach here at Edible Music, I design the 5-day foundation series to match with these stages so far, so that if you're just getting started, you can have a sense of what EQ and compression and all of the effects that you'll be using can do for your mix. But if you're in one of the second or third stages, it will either act as a really solidifying resource or a refreshing resource to continue pursuing your learning and expanding what you've learned so far. You should try it out as well. It's at ediblemusic.com/5days. So we've got stages 1, 2, and 3, and the 4th stage is called unconscious competence. This is where you might otherwise describe yourself as an expert. You can complete your song without too much stress or frustration because you can rely on your experience and the skills you've developed. At this stage, you're able to intuit how to solve the problems that might come up in the project that you're working on, and you continue to learn, but the learning process now is able to be incorporated into your existing skill set. So which one of these stages sounds most familiar to you? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? If it's any of those, especially the early ones, then that's great, and that's why I'm here to help you. But I also want you to think about something that you're really good at that's outside of music. It could be something really mundane, like riding a bike or ice skating or cooking a great meal or typing on a computer. You might not remember it anymore, but you had learning processes through each of these skills as you developed them. If I take the example of when you were learning how to type on a computer, maybe you started just pecking around with your fingers, and then you had to learn where to place your hands and where all the keys were located, where the letters and all the other characters were located. And then you gained a lot of expertise about how to type on a computer. And again, you might not remember the process of learning these, but as you advance through the stages, at each one, perhaps you hit upon or got caught in a moment where you thought, this is as good as I'm going to get, or you kind of became relaxed and thought, this is only as good as I need to be. But by receiving some teaching and working through and practicing more, making mistakes that are really important to make and learn from, you got there. So, how can you do that with your music studio work as well? I'll align these with each of the stages that you might be in. If you're at the first stage, heck, continue having fun, but also be curious about this whole world of making music at home. Allow yourself to start exploring the kinds of strategies and approaches and tools that you can make use of and techniques that you can use, whether it has to do with mic placement or sample selection or ensuring that your instruments are tuned properly, all these little things that can really help to give a good boost to the quality of the music that you're making. If you're at the second stage, then you might want to identify some really specific things that you'd like to learn and really focus on those. And then by the time you get to the third stage, you'll be able to see how those specific things that you were focusing on can proliferate throughout your music making process. Again, the third stage can be a little bit risky because you've got some confidence in the things that you've learned so far, but it can take a bit of humility to acknowledge that you might still have a lot more to learn. But at this third stage, make all the music that you can and try to continue to maintain the curiosity and excitement about what you're learning. Always try to do that. The world is a really big place. There's always a lot of things to learn, and the music is no different from that. As I mentioned, I designed the 5-Day Foundation series to introduce you to a process that you can take to mixing your songs. Whether you're at the first, second, or third stage, I think it will help you out, and it will give you some concrete steps to continue your learning, get past that burnout, and maintain your excitement about getting better and making every next song your next best song. Try it out.